everyone, and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Back in studio for this Tuesday, September 19th episode. Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman and John Kovach, as we've got some football highlights from last Friday we're going to take care of today. We've also obviously got highlights from yesterday's volleyball match, a rematch of the state championship between Stanford and Ridgefield, and we'll look ahead to this afternoon's match between Staples and Fairfield Ward, and we'll go around the conference, some of the other action going on. But right away, let's get into it, and we go back to our Friday night game of the week, West Hill and Norwalk. John, it was the only FCX game this weekend that I think was inside of 30 points?
Yeah, I think you're just about right. You know, the only one that was close, and it was close throughout, which I thought made it an entertaining game. There were times when it wasn't the most efficient football, wasn't the most disciplined football, but an entertaining game, and West Hill positioned themselves to win by having a response every time Norwalk scored.
I'm sorry, St. Joe's was a 52-13 victory, so 29 there. Nope, 39.
Yeah.
Never mind, forget it.
You were right.
It was a gross weekend of football. Friday night was the lone bright spot. And let's get right into it. Both these teams were looking to take that next step amongst the conference. And while Norwalk, I think they're a year away, on the other side of the field, Kevin, in my opinion, West Hill is a legitimate 6-win, maybe 7-win team if they get a couple lucky breaks to go their way in a game or two.
Oh, they do. They made a huge statement this weekend, especially with their defense. I think that's the big thing that stands out. 5 interceptions on the sophomore Kyle Gordon, Norwalk quarterback. I think they made a huge statement to the rest of the conference and to the state that this is a defense you don't want to mess with. And even Norwalk, after that game, mentioned how strong their defense looked. Their offensive line was great. That's another key piece, I think, that they added as well. And this is going to be a power horse. I think a lot of the good teams that we always think about in the FCX, like the Darians, the New Canaans, the St. Joe's, I think they have to be careful once the Vikings come into their schedule.
And the 5 interceptions, the last one, A.J. Hall for the Bears, who plugged him in on that hopeful 90-plus yard drive with less than a minute to go, John. It's not that Gordon was throwing balls, just on his own to the wrong team. A lot of that comes from the pressure that the front 7 of the Vikings got. They blitzed early, they blitzed often, and they blitzed successfully, most importantly.
Another thing, and our sports editor Bill Bloxham pointed this out to me during the game, West Hill was rotating their defensive linemen frequently, something they've been known to do for the past few years. And that kept the guys up front fresh, and I really thought the coverage was solid. There's the one breakdown where a guy literally gets spun around that led to a touchdown. But other than that, their coverage was strong. And I thought, like you said, the pressure, and it might have been the first pressure that Kyle Gordon's faced.
It definitely was. I don't know that Hamden got as much pressure as he saw that night. But ultimately, I think that represented the difference in the game. We both felt, too, that this was a game if Coach Marcuccio of West Hill doesn't abandon the run game at the start of the second half, and I don't know that he abandoned it or just they tried to open up the playbook a little too much. I think if you rode Saquon Kelly through that third quarter, John, this game wasn't within 20 points because they had a couple of possessions that started deep in enemy territory and a couple 3-and-outs, an interception, and it was just I didn't think Norwalk had an answer for Saquon Kelly 9 times out of 10.
I don't think they did, and I think a lot of that is thanks to Saquon Kelly. He would go places and just find the slimmest bit of green and get through it. He runs in the cylinder very well. Probably the last back I saw who runs with such drive and control, Arkell Newsom, now up at UConn, formerly of Ansonia. He drives his legs high, his knees are over his toes, his chest is over his knees, he doesn't overextend, and it allows him to shoulder off tacklers, to stiff arm tacklers, and to make his way where you don't think you can go. I don't think he went down on first contact all night long.
I don't either. It was a very impressive display from the senior running back. Let's look at the highlights from Friday night. We'll come back. We'll continue to break down West Hill's win over the Norwalk Bears.
Bears show blitz.
Kona plenty patient. Now the line, Jack Judge arms goes up. 5 seconds remaining. Strike on the right side. They connect. And in for the score is Mateer. Noodles on the board.
Any untoward action.
3rd and 9, and a quick hitter to the right side. Elliott made his man go down, and now it is a foot race, and it's one he does not often lose. Touchdown, Norwalk.
What a conversion on 3rd down for the Norwalk Bears. You've got Elliott, gets out there, quick move, looked like almost a hitch and go, Frank. He gets the corner to bite, the corner goes down, and then nobody's catching him.
Bone break out for the kickoff again. Mateer and Turen are deep to receive. You can see Mateer is standing in the middle of the field. They are favoring that left side. It's an end-over-end kick that Turen fields over his shoulder. Trying to reverse fields now as he gets to the numbers on the left side, and he's got a lane. Only one man to beat, and he is gone.
No flags, Frank. That one's going to count.
91 yards, and the Vikings respond. Keep an eye at A.J. Hall on the bottom of your screen. As they go with the jump pass, Elliott waiting on the other end. Touchdown, Bears.
Great play. They bled Elliott out. He got behind it, and I don't think anybody knew he was there other than Gordon. I don't know if we've seen Kelly go down on first contact yet tonight.
I go right back to him again on 2nd down with a big hole out in front. Now in a foot race to the left corner, heading for the end zone. Touchdown, Vikings. Either way, penalty stands. 2nd and 20 as Gordon drops back. Up into the pocket and trying to loft one up to the middle, and it's intercepted. Waiting for that one was John Mendez. Now reading his blockers as he heads for the far sideline. Mendez is wrapped up, shoved out of bounds, and a flag comes flying in for what will most likely be a late hit. Turen is alone at the top of the screen. Looking down the middle, though, as this one's intercepted. Jumping in from the corner position was Khalil Eason. And just like that, the Bears are back in it. The freshman, John, stepping up and making a play.
Announcing his presence with authority, Frank. Just stepped in, jumped that, and I honestly, for a minute there, thought he was gone. So I'm not down there making that call, but if you have him for the 4th quarter, it might be worth it.
As they give to Jakari Walker, who finds a seam, and he breaks through it now. Walker past the secondary. Mateer giving chase, and he hawks him down inside the Vikings' 40-yard line.
But erases that great punt just like that.
Gordon is under center. 1.5 yards outside the goal line. As he gives to the fullback who rumbles ahead and into the end zone. Ishwa Ensminger, and it's good for 2. That's the first time that Turen has gotten the better of him here down the stretch. They go back to Kelly, dancing through the line, heading towards the goal line, diving, and he's in. Touchdown, Vikings.
He just snaked his way through essentially a crawl space of defenders, back, forth, left, and right, and then lunges into the end zone to give West Hill the lead again. Great run.
They're going to try to get pressure without, with just a 3-man rush, as this one is intercepted. Trying to run out as much clock as he can, and now falling down is Alan Nolan.
Just a great game. I could watch a game like this every day.
An absolute thriller, and that is all they will have to do. The West Hill Vikings now 2-0 as they take down Norwalk 26-21. It's a big win for West Hill. It puts them at 2-0. They get Danbury this week, a game they're likely to win, setting up a Thursday night matchup at New Canaan against the Rams. That'll be a big point when we find out more about the West Hill Vikings. But, John, we were there and we just spoke off the air. I said, I think one thing that's really going to haunt Norwalk, it's 20-14. And, excuse me, it's 19-13, I'm sorry. heading into the last drive of the first half. Norwalk gets it all the way down to the 5-yard line. It's a 4-minute drive. They're going to get the ball to start the half. 4th down, jump ball in the corner of the end zone. A.J. Hall has it in his hands, can't control it through falling to the ground. I think looking back at that game now, if he makes that catch, they might win that game.
We've talked in hockey and in football, Frank, about just how devastating that late score is just before the end of the half or the end of the quarter. If they could have scored and erased all the good that West Hill had done in the first half, I think you would have had a different halftime. Instead, you had a West Hill team playing on raw emotion that then had every reason to believe in what they were doing. I think that that would-be touchdown would definitely made a difference.
The good news for Norwalk, Kevin, is while they're definitely trending in the right direction, it's a program right now that has a lot to look forward to in the future. You got Kyle Gordon in the backfield along with sophomore Jakari Walker. One of the most impressive players in this game was Khalil Eason, the freshman cornerback. So there's a lot of promise coming up. Samuel Papp, another sophomore, I thought had a huge game on the defensive line. So a lot of promise coming up for the Bears. And they will rebound this week, taking on Fairfield Ludlow.
Yeah, they'll rebound. This is a very talented team. You talk about another player like A.J. Hall, John. This is a player that we all expect to do big things here in the FCIAC. And Kyle Gordon's only going to get better. Of course, a couple of mistakes that he threw Friday night. He's only going to get better from here. Again, only a sophomore. He still has a lot to learn. And he's going to get a lot better.
I mean, it was only his second game in the FCIAC. Just one thing, and I don't want us to neglect to talk about this, but right before the game, before we did the interviews, head coach Frank Marcuccio found out that former player and coach Aaron Pettiford, who had been waiting for a kidney transplant, had gotten the call earlier that day on game day that a kidney was available for him. I heard Coach Marcuccio tell the Vikings, get me a game ball to give him, and I've seen a photo of him giving the game ball to Aaron.
That's awesome.
at Connecticut Children's Hospital. Aaron, get better soon. Vikings, nice job stepping up for your brother.
West Hill goes to Danbury this weekend. Norwalk will host Ludlow. Those games on Friday night. Both of those there. We're going to step aside. John is done for the afternoon. Thanks, John. We'll see you again later this week as we get ready for a huge weekend of FCIAC football.
This is a good one. I'm excited about this.
When we get back, though, Kevin and I are going to look back on yesterday's volleyball matchup between Stanford and Ridgefield on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Now teeing off, Paul Miller from Miller Nissan in Fairfield.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What about my new Sentra?
Right now, lease a 2017 Sentra S for only $97 a month.
He is never going to retire.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet, 78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Registration is now open for our fitness training programs for high school athletes. The InSports Performance Center is offering blast speed classes, athletic functional movement assessments, and both men's and women's elite speed and strength training. Our premier programs help bring athletes to the next level. Call 203-268-1214 for more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Manfredi New Canaan is celebrating 3 exceptional years selling Rolex watches and fine jewelry to the Fairfield County community. We appreciate all our loyal clients and look forward to welcoming and helping you discover the perfect gift to celebrate life's most important occasions. Bankwell combines the best personalized service with high-tech banking features for our customers' convenience. We pride ourselves on being a strong community partner. You don't settle for average in anything else you do. Why settle for an average bank? Don't just bank when you can bank well instead. Visit mybankwell.com for more. Bankwell combines...
Back on the HAN Network, and thank you again to John Kovac for joining us to look back on Friday's football action. Kevin and I now look back to yesterday's girls volleyball matchup in the FCAC. Two of the top teams from last season, Kevin, they met in the state championship in the FCAC semifinals. Stanford getting the better of Ridgefield in both those games, but that does not look to be the case in 2017. This is a Ridgefield team right now with a lot of depth, and they are clicking early on.
No, I'm actually not going to lie. I'm a little surprised at what we saw yesterday, considering, I understand that, both teams lost so much during graduation. They had some really talented seniors on their roster last year, including those Black Knights from Stanford. They had some loaded seniors. They also were able to get back some key returners. And, Ridgefield really surprised me in a good way. They came out and took care of business that first set. They really set the tone early. They were able to take care of business in match one. I thought game two was the closest match we had. You saw that go really back and forth. Stanford, I thought, played extremely well at times. They looked like they were going to take game two. Then Ridgefield pulled out the resiliency. They came out and took care of game two. And then game three, you could just tell the wind was sucked out of Stanford by that point. It was all sucked out of the Stanford gym because Ridgefield was all over them in that third set. Yes, Stanford had a nice little comeback near the end, but Ridgefield all over them. Caroline Colonel was really setting the tone for the Tigers yesterday.
25-21, 26-24, 25-16 the score over the three sets. Ridgefield taking all three of those. That second set you talked about, 26-24, Stanford was up 8-2 at one point in time. In that set, they were up 16-9, I think, as well. Had every opportunity to take that set, but give a lot of credit to the Tigers. And it's Caroline Colonel was a standout, and she's going to be a stud every match they play this year. She's one of the best athletes in the state, and that's not negotiable. But I thought they got great contributions out of Amanda Condren. Mackenzie Wanico was very, very strong. And it was the depth players. Alicia Hill was struggling at points in time, so they go to Ava Fazio. She steps up and can be a big impact player. Nicole Miller comes in to spell Taylor Brandt. So you had two liberos that played really well in that one. Lauren Thrasher, a couple of key points. So many seniors on this roster, and they're all making an impact in a different way. It makes it very difficult to keep up with Ridgefield. And for Coach LaDanya Saber, she's almost got the toughest decision. The toughest part of this is, okay, who's going to be my starting lineup?
And what's crazy is she wasn't that thrilled with the performance yesterday, too. It's really, I love the performance the Tigers put on yesterday. And you look throughout this roster and just taking a peek leading up to this game, there were juniors that are now seniors on this roster. I mean, it's a senior-loaded lineup with a couple sophomores and some juniors. But a lot of these seniors this year didn't get a lot of playing time last year as juniors. And you look at that senior crew that they had last year, including Caroline Colonel, who comes back for her fourth year with this volleyball team. My goodness, this is a scary team now to look out for.
3-0 win, 3-0 are the Tigers. Let's look at the highlights from yesterday's victory.
You don't need to put a lot of speed on it.
Far side, Colonel with her first opportunity, and she converts.
And she finds that right spot. Will hug the line.
And you got your senior captain at the line now. With the Tigers 1 point away from winning the set, and that point was that last shot. Here's Taylor Brand. O'Connor calling for it on the outside. And it's off the net, short. And the Black Knights will be chasing two. And that is all she wrote. Dardis saw it skip off her hands. And that last game ends 25-16.
Couple looks at some of the action from yesterday. We also caught up with a couple of seniors from the Tigers roster. Amanda Condren, who I thought was the best all-around server in the entire match yesterday, and Mackenzie Wanico, who spent a lot of time at the net and was very dominant offensively and had some big defensive stops. Let's hear what those two girls had to say on Ridgefield's win. First of all, congratulations, great win. Let's talk a little bit about the emotions. You just beat the defending FCAC and state champions, Mackenzie.
I'm very happy. As last year we lost to them, so it's really great coming back and defeating the team that we lost to. We really played today as a team, and we had lots of energy, and I think it was a really good comeback.
Amanda, let's talk a little bit about the emotions before the game. What was the message from the coach and the captains heading into this big rematch?
We really had a lot of stress before we were thinking about what we were going to do when we come here. We were making sure that we were going to play as a team, really worked in practice ahead of time, and just buckled down to get ready for the game, honestly.
Mackenzie, one of the things that stood out to us is the depth of this team. You guys obviously have a lot of seniors, but so many players contributing this afternoon. How big of an advantage is that for the Tigers?
I think it's a really big advantage. We have a lot of strong players this year, even though we lost a couple of our really good players from last year. I think we really have a strong team, and we can really execute what we need to do this year.
Amanda, let's talk about that second set. Back and forth, you guys were down big, but able to mount the comeback. What was going through the minds of the team at that point?
We were really thinking about coming back, honestly. I mean, we knew we were down, but we can come back from anything, and that's what we've learned. And that's what we're going to continue to do throughout the season.
4-0 to start the year. What's going right for the team right now?
The motivation. I mean, really, it's going to keep building up, and I'm ready to take on this season head on.
Mackenzie, what do you guys have to keep doing moving forward now?
I think we just have to keep playing as best as we can and just keep in our heads like that we have to do really the best that we can do. So.
Well, girls, great job today. Congrats again. We'll let you rejoin your teammates cheer on the JV squad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alongside Mackenzie Wanaka and Amanda Condren, our HN players of the game, I'm Frank Granito. We'll send it back to Kevin Coleman in the booth.
Really good job by both those girls yesterday. It was stand out. And, you know, we were talking. Coach Saber was a little frustrated with the way the girls played. That's something that stands out to me too, Kevin. The accountability and the level of excellence that's demanded by this program and this team, it's going to push them a long way this season.
It is, and you know, they have to feel pretty good about that win yesterday, considering going into this game, I think a lot of people expected a volleyball match between Stanford and Ridgefield at this point in the season was probably going to go to 5 sets, and Ridgefield took care of business in 3 straight sets. So while there are definitely some things they need to work on, including their serves, I think they have to feel pretty confident. And this is a Ridgefield team, like I just mentioned before, that we're expected to see do a lot of big things this year, especially when it comes to playoff time.
As for Stanford, I think they'll be okay. We talked with Coach Smeriglio before the game, and it's a team right now that is still going through the growing pains. They lost a lot of girls to graduation. They have some of the more talented players in the conference. Andrea O'Connor is going to be fine. I thought Gloria Mattioli played tremendously on the defensive side. It's only game 4 for the Black Knights. They're too good to not be in the top 8 of the FCX tournament. If they get into that, anything can happen. So they're going to figure it out. They're going to be okay. But for now, Stanford is, I don't think they're the top dog in the conference. They're in the middle of the pack right now, and they're trying to find their identity.
No, they still have the target on their back, though. They're the FCX champs as of right now. But yes, right now they need some work to do. Some sloppy play, I thought, at times yesterday. But you're right. Andrea O'Connor, you still have her on the roster. Gloria Mattioli, you still have her on the roster. I thought she had some great digs yesterday. And you also have, I mean, you look throughout the roster. Ariana Manco, I thought, was good serving yesterday as well. You know, this is a talented team. Claire Darties as a libero. This is still a good lineup. They're going to do good things this year.
Rookie mental mistakes definitely plagued Stanford yesterday, but they will learn to work out of those. We're going to take one more break here. When we get back, we'll look at some of the other volleyball scores from yesterday, and we'll look ahead to this afternoon's match, Staples at Fairfield Ward. It's coming up next on the HAN Network.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
At Portofino Restaurant and Wine Bar in Bethel, fresh and simple food is our concept. Owned and operated by brothers Rocco and Louie, Portofino has a distinct and diverse food and drink menu. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come join us for live local music on Tuesdays and Sundays, Wednesday nights for mouthwatering prime rib, and every Thursday night is ladies' night. Planning a party? All our catering menus are personalized to suit your event and your budget. Join us at the Dolan Plaza, 213 Greenwood Ave, Bethel, and call us at 203-797-8131. Like us on Facebook. Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
At Art Play in Ridgefield, we encourage students at a young age to unleash their creativity. Art Play is about hands-on exploration of mixed media, acrylic, and collage for ages 4 to 12. Older kids welcome. Classes meet weekly at Jesse Lee Church, Main Street, Ridgefield. Find us on Facebook at Art Play at Jesse Lee. Whether you're looking for a great test prep program, tutoring to boost your grades, or a blast-off toward the college of your dreams, C2 Education is here to help. There is nothing one-size-fits-all about our programs. We offer customized tutoring and test prep for each student. Call us today at 203-423-3328.
Back on the HAN network, let's look at a couple other volleyball scores from around the conference yesterday. McMahon took down Ludlow 3-1. Greenwich knocked off New Canaan 3-1. Trumbull took down Danbury 3-1. Joe's blanks Trinity Catholic 3-0. And Danbury takes down Staples 3-1. Danbury off to a very impressive start in girls volleyball right now. They are a sleeper team to keep an eye on heading forward into the year. Girls soccer scores from yesterday. New Canaan 8-0 over Stanford. The Rams starting to figure it out a little bit. Norwalk blanked Trinity Catholic 5-0. We're going to see the Bears next Tuesday afternoon against Bridgeport Central. Ridgefield shut out Ludlow 3-0. And in my opinion, Kevin, this is the most impressive score of the day yesterday. Brian McMahon, a 1-0 shutout of the Darien girls soccer team. That's the first goal that the Blue Wave have surrendered all season. A huge win for McMahon early on this year.
Yeah, they get one by Christine Fiore finally. This is a talented Darien team. I think we're going to see a lot of do some big things this year in girls soccer, but credit the Senators taking care of business against the Blue Wave. I think right now, the highest team right now in the FCIAC and girls soccer was Darien, but Brian McMahon able to take care of business. I mean, what a big win that is early on in the season for the Senators.
A couple field hockey scores here quickly. Norwalk 8-0 beats Fairfield Ward. Danbury and St. Joe's played to a 1-1 draw. And a big mention, I want to give a shout out to the Norwalk McMahon Co-op swimming and diving team. They had to wait over a year to get back into their aquatic center after some construction and renovations were being done. Well, they christened the new pool with a 97-79 victory over Stanford West Hills Co-op squad. Congrats to the Bears Senators co-op team. Kev, there were a couple scores that stood out to you from earlier this week as well.
They did, in boys soccer especially. I think you look at this Ridgefield-Danbury 2-0 game that Ridgefield was able to beat Darien 2-0. Very surprising. You gotta give the Ridgefield Tigers a lot of credit because two tough losses to start the year. I think that raised a huge question mark on their season. They're able to take care of business against a rival like Danbury who has a loaded lineup. 2-0 is a good victory for Phil Bergen and company for the Tigers. How about Ludlow Greenwich? A great early matchup early on between two heavy favorites in boys soccer. Ludlow able to take care of business, put up 3 goals against Greenwich, who right now is just like the Darien girls soccer team, one of the hottest teams coming in to this weekend, and they took care of business, beating Greenwich 3-2. And then finally, how about Trinity Catholic boys soccer? Beating Darien 2-1. What a start to Trinity Catholic's year. Some couple tough losses, but overall, this is a strong year so far, a great start for the Crusaders in boys soccer. You got to be pumped up to beat Darien 2-1 in boys soccer. So shout out to the Crusaders. Nice win.
They're sitting at 3-2. They are above 500. Looking to this afternoon, Kevin, what is one key to success for you in this volleyball match?
I think for Fairfield Ward, it's how do they control Staples? Because Staples is a very talented volleyball team, I think, coming into this game. Talked to them throughout the FCIAC tour. They seem very motivated, very confident. This is a loaded lineup that can take care of business, and they're one of these teams I think can fly under the radar. And I think if Ward, considering they're at home, yes, that's an advantage for them, Frank, but I think Staples, if they can control them early, maybe win that first set, then I think you might see, Ward might be able to take care of business. But throughout that lineup, I think one person you got to look out for is Libby McKenna. Well, she's the outside hitter. She's very athletic. She can take care of business against the Wreckers.
My matchup to watch was going to be Amanda Terwelstra of Staples and Libby McKenna of Fairfield Ward. I think those two girls are really the glue that bring these rosters together. They're captains of these teams for a reason, and it will be a very good matchup start to finish this afternoon. It's going to be a great week here moving forward. Hopefully, the There's going to be some postponements, unfortunately, with the impending weather the next 2 days or so, but hopefully everything gets made up or is able to be played. We've got great football coming up this weekend, but make sure you're with us this afternoon, 5:30 at Fairfield Ward. Girls volleyball on the HAN Network. For Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. That's all for today's Nutmeg Sports. We'll see you later this afternoon, and of course back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Coffee break with the one and only Coach Frank.